So there is no doubt about it that Deadpool and Wolverine serves as a Marvel-related movie for the first time in a very long time, where many fans are seeing this thing 2, 3, 4, heck even 5 times in a row. We already know that a lot of people that reported back to us here in the comments saw this movie 5 times. That's exactly why this movie is making nearly $1 billion at the box office worldwide so very fast, is because you have a lot of these repeat ticket sales going on right now all over the world. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, after a whopping success, that of course being Deadpool and Wolverine, you would think that the Disney executives would gain some form of common sense when it comes to how the future will be handled with the MCU, and in particular with this film and Ryan Reynolds as part of the creation of this movie. Well, think again, because there's been a lot of issues going on between the Walt Disney Company executives, including Bob Iger, the CEO, and those like Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy, the director. Let's get into it, shall we? Now, one thing about all of this is that we know that the MCU really had a very tough time in 2023, and even before that. And like I said earlier, we know that ever since Endgame and No Way Home, it has been pretty much, an uphill battle for Kevin Feige, the Marvel boss, the man running the show of the MCU, and on top of that, the Marvels, which by the way served as the worst box office opening in history under the Marvel Universe. Now, focusing on what's been going on between Reynolds and the Disney executives, it really is beginning to get quite ugly when it comes to the plans for Deadpool and Wolverine post-theatrical release. Let's get into this. Now, with Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy already creating multiple ultimatums against the Walt Disney Company, and why. One major development now has more to do with Ryan Reynolds and his recent battle with the Walt Disney Company and its CEO Bob Iger in the midst of the success for Deadpool and Wolverine. After multiple arguments recently took place between Ryan and the Disney executives, one of the more recent and more serious issues now coming from Disney pressed on Ryan Reynolds involves how Bob Iger no longer wants to participate in creating a director's cut of Deadpool and Wolverine. Something that Disney recently agreed to doing with both Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy, that now Bob Iger is calling off due to his cost-cutting measures at the Disney Company and other factors as well that we will talk about later. With Deadpool and Wolverine's extended edition now reportedly in the process of cancellation by Bob Iger, this is creating tons of tension coming from Ryan Reynolds and director Shawn Levy, who by the way previously were specifically instructed to tell the general public that there was no extended edition in the works while it was being worked on to keep it as a surprise. In a recent emergency meeting, however, that took place between Bob Iger and the Disney board of directors that went all over, of course, everything coming to the company, one of which involved Bob Iger canceling plans for a director's cut of Deadpool and Wolverine that is now creating an uproar from Ryan Reynolds. As of now, Ryan and Shawn are already in the process of creating more ultimatums and warnings of backing out of some Marvel-related projects if Bob Iger does not move forward with the director's cut of Deadpool and Wolverine. Something that Shawn Levy initially was forced to say that he was not, of course, going to work on, and that was not going to happen while it was being developed. As of now, Bob Iger is only agreeing to releasing only a handful of deleted scenes on the Blu-ray edition / streaming version of Deadpool and Wolverine, and it will no longer involve all the deleted scenes that were shot by both Ryan and Shawn, which consisted of 30 minutes of extra footage, some of which included surprise cameos from the MCU and other Fox characters that were going to be unexpected in nature. Another reason why Ryan Reynolds is raising hell against the Walt Disney Company is that it was recently learned by those like Ryan and Shawn after Disney's emergency meeting that a good portion of the revenue obtained from Deadpool and Wolverine will be used for future Marvel projects that focus on an ideology or an agenda promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now guys, let me just stop here before I move on. That is another growing problem, and something that Disney, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this, they have done this before in the past, where you had a trend of all these ideology-driven movies and then they took a little bit of a break. They made a lot of revenue on one success, then they used some of those funds on another project to fund their overall agenda. So this may very well connect to what we talked about months and months ago, that this was going to be a part of Disney's misleading strategy of focusing on agenda-free content to kind of use that as a way to garner funds, to use those, of course, pieces of revenue to their agenda-driven projects, whether it's a TV show or whether it's a movie, doesn't matter. But this is also something that Ryan and Sean are having a very tough time with and really falling into a lot of arguments over. Now, we already know that Bob Iger is a liar. This is exactly why I always like to call him Bob Liger. I know I've said it for the upteenth time now, but it's true. Bob Liger is a liar. And he will do whatever he has to do, he will say whatever he has to say to string along the audience, to string along what he calls his customer base, and even the shareholders, mind you, into believing that the following year is going to be an improvement. Now, moving forward from all of that, this is where things get even more interesting, is that this is also something that Ryan and Sean were desperately trying to prevent from happening months ago, and one of the funds gained from this movie to contribute to their other projects strictly that they will be a part of, whether it's Secret Wars or Avengers Doomsday, etc., etc. Now, on top of that, some of the revenue made for Deadpool and Wolverine reportedly will be used for the marketing campaign of Agatha All Along, which is due for release this September. Already Bob Iger and Ryan are in a back and forth battle over that as well. So look, the fact that this movie is inching closer to that $1 billion mark worldwide, I said this before a couple of days ago, it's most likely going to cap around $1.1 billion, maybe $1.2 billion worldwide. I don't think it's going to get $1.5 billion or $2 billion at this point, but it may very well go over that $1 billion range easily and smoothly, because this is going to linger in theaters for the weeks to come. Now, here's the other thing, is that we know that there's a lot of things going on between Ryan, Sean, and the Disney executives. They are going to be involved in Avengers Secret Wars. That is one major film that they will be a part of, as well as Hugh Jackman. There's going to be a lot of changes and alterations made to that movie as well, due to, of course, the whole differences coming with Kang. We'll talk more about that as well. But what's interesting about that is the fact that now you have Disney using some of the plans to use some of the Deadpool and Wolverine funds and to throw that into different marketing campaigns, to throw that into their budgets of other projects that focus on an ideology, such as the promotion of diversity, equity, inclusion, over a proper story, over proper character development, right? And, they did this, in the past with other projects, and we can talk about this all day. But when you look at Ryan Reynolds, when you look at Sean Levy, these are individuals that really took a stand against the Disney executives. They are the ones that put Disney in a corner to agree to making Deadpool and Wolverine an agenda-free movie, basically. It now makes you wonder, did they cave because of them, or did they cave because of this so-called strategy? We'll have to wait and see. Now, what's interesting about that is that I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.